already drank that whole shape? Recently, I trimmed off a piece of rough from my large slab of Colombian-colored hydrothermal lab-grown emerald. I trimmed it off for a special order that BOPIE, my wife, needed me to cut. When I trimmed off the piece, it was more than I needed, so I trimmed off a small rectangular piece of the rough and made two pieces. This small piece was excess, and I thought it'd be better to trim it off rather than just grind it into emerald dust. So since the small piece is an excess or leftover trim piece, I get to make it into any design I want. Yay. This leftover piece is a rectangle, so I searched my notebook of designs that I want to cut someday that I've been throwing into my notebook for quite a long time. And I found the Graham Prince design, which was created by the late Jeff Graham, who put this design and about 24 others of his best designs into the public domain. Here's the link to a video I made a while back where I showed you in this video how to go back in time on the internet, because the web never forgets. And going back in time, you can access Jeff's old website where all of his free designs are located. Also, Jeff wrote many useful articles on gem cutting. Some of you older cutters may remember his Just Ask Jeff column in his website. There are a lot of great articles that you may want to look through while you're visiting the old website. Now here is what the Graham Prince should look like when I cut it, and the key information, the ratios related to the design, and the cutting instructions. Jeff had made another popular design called the Graham Princess, which is obviously a princess cut. He got a lot of requests for a princess type cut in a rectangle shape. So that's what motivated Jeff to create the Graham Prince. And I've always wanted to cut this design, so here goes. Okay, for our Graham Prince, we put it in our machine by setting the index at the 96 tooth and then orienting our rough stone so that the long lengthwise is horizontal to the 96. Then we just set the set screw and we're ready to start cutting our Graham Prince. Okay, I've got the length and width set for our emerald, and I've completed pre-polishing it with the 12M lap. So all I've got to do is put a 13,000 grit diamond on that lap and then polish it. So the next step is the pavilion. I want to make sure I've got enough height for this stone. It does have a deep pavilion in it. So I'm going to go to the very end of the pavilion instructions, the P7 and the P8. And the P7 should make, on the lengthwise side, should just touch a center point, and the P8 on the other side, the narrower side, should just touch at center point. And that should allow me to make the center point. And then I'll go backwards to the P1. But once I've got the P7 and P8 set and they just touch, I will have used the least amount of height that I need. So I'll save the most for the crown or the upper half of our stone. Okay, I used the P7 and P8 lines of instruction to almost hit center point. They need to go down a little bit further. But after I did the P7 and P8, then I went back to the P3, which kind of levels the girdle. And I know that it goes to touch the meet point of this P7. So now I can kind of go backwards and do the rest of the pavilion instructions. And I know I need to come a little further down so that the P7 and P8 meet and make a permanent center point right here. So that's about as big as I can make this stone, because there's no more room. Once that center point touches, that leaves just enough for the crown. I finished polishing the pavilion of our Graham Prince, so now I'll transfer the stone and cut the upper half. It polished right up with cerium oxide and the Kringway lap from Gearloose. Okay, I had just enough space on the crown to cut my table. I'll bring the table down to meet this point right there. So there's just a little bit to bring the table down. So again, we just had just enough rough for this gemstone, and this was as big as we could make it, because if we tried to make it any bigger, we wouldn't have enough space for the crown. Now I've gone over our emerald with my 12M, a 1500 grit lap, and I'm not going to use any of my diamond on a bat lap or diamond on a zinc lap. And the reason is because this emerald, like a lot of natural emerald, this is lab created, but like a lot of natural emerald, has an inclusion right there. There's an inclusion, a fracture that does reach to the surface. And if I were to use one of my bat laps or zinc laps, any lap with a diamond powder, diamond paste, diamond slurry, it would cause that diamond slurry, which would be gray, to get sucked into that crack and it'd be discolored. So that's why, for me, I like having a lot of different laps, a lot of different options. I know some cutters claim they only want to use, I don't know, 3 laps, 4 laps, and that's all you need, and that may be all you need, but I like changing out and having the right lap for the right job. So in this case, I'm going to go to my polish with cerium oxide, and I'm going to use my Spectrum Ultra laps. These are disposable laps, mylar with oxide impregnated on it, so I'm, in this case, cerium oxide. So it does not create a slurry. It won't cause any problems of getting any slurry sucked into any type of a stone with a fracture that reaches the surface. So this isn't brand new. I've used it a few times. They're disposable, but they last more than one job. So this is what I'll use to polish up our emerald. I finished polishing our emerald. Polish dried up. So now I will take the DOP out of the machine, set the machine up to cut the table, and then we'll be done polishing and cutting our emerald. Okay, I finished polishing the table of our emerald, so now I'll soak it in the acetone and remove the 2-part epoxy and weigh it, measure it, and send it off to BOPIE. In this video, I had a leftover trim piece of lab-created emerald rough, which was basically a free bonus piece. So I decided to use this piece of rough on a design which I'd wanted to cut for a while, called the Graham Prince. The Graham Prince is not a difficult design to cut, and I believe that any cutter would have no difficulty tackling this design, so please give it a try. I believe the stone turned out great, and BOPIE also was really happy with the emerald when I gave it to her. So if you have cut the Graham Prince before, let me know in the comments what you thought of the design, and also let me know what your favorite design by Jeff is. And as always, happy fasting, everyone.